We're jumping into charting cryptos, commodities, and currencies. Let's look at the 24-hour a day Bitcoin chart first. What do we see going on here? Well, as we step back on this weekly chart and just see, we can see where Bitcoin hit its most recent high of 31,458 back in the week beginning the 19th of June. Last week, the high was 31,268. And this week so far, 31,378. So we've not hit that high going into the third week now since 3 weeks ago. So what's Bitcoin doing? Well, you can see on the 2-day chart where it's popped up and just sort of slid sideways. You can see again, you really have to crank in the half-day chart to see it. And again, this is a 24-hour a day half-day chart. So it's not all that helpful to us. We use it, of course, on our typical reviews. This is a 24-hour a day reporting chart, so it is different. But as we look at things, it actually shows us that Bitcoin is just sort of topping. It's down for the day as I record this about 1%, and we'll just continue to keep an eye on it, see if it's going to continue to boost up higher. Candle has gotten smaller from last week. Again, doesn't appear to have any kind of down wick on it, but at the same time, not a big candle, not reaching a higher high than it did 3 weeks ago. So we'll watch and see if Bitcoin's stalling. I keep hoping Bitcoin's going to give us more of a reasonable chart to chart with enough moves that we can jump in and expect to get something. We look at where we are on Ethereum on the 24-hour a day chart there. Started with a spinning top, didn't have anything like cool volume to tell us where things were dropping to. Sort of saw it here back in March and mid-March where things bottomed with high volume and then started up with high volume. That was okay. We don't have anything like that right in here where things bottomed and then turned around. Remember, we love to see these anomalies where you've got a small candle and you can see where the market makers really pushed down, the insiders did, to test that bottom and saw again there was nothing to hold it, and then it rotated around with high volume there and really showed you there was a sea change in investor sentiment. When you see that, that can be extremely helpful. When you don't see that, it makes it a lot more risky, doesn't it? Okay, let's move from Ethereum to this is the top to Bitwise 10 crypto index fund. This is the top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted according to market share. So the big dog is, of course, Bitcoin, followed way down the line by Ethereum, and then 8 others. Now, this is a pretty decent, when you look at this 2-day chart, you can see how it's ticked up there over 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 days. So that's 2 market weeks, which we, again, are depicting. Now, these are, as we look at these times establish themselves, and you see this happening, again, we do have a little bit higher than average volume here on that week where things turned around. But again, we can see things moving up on the 2-day. The chart is a little better balanced on this weekly chart than on the others. We have some good moves, but again, you also have some sloppy areas. We want a clean chart. We want a chart that looks like what? We'd love to have a chart that looks more like the S&P 500, where it goes clearly from green to red, to green to red, to green to red. Switchover points can be a little bit, again, you've got to really pay attention to what's going on. Look at where your volume is. Look at where things are trying to reach down and test, and then switch over on decent volume switches. Those things are most helpful. But again, in the cryptocurrency side of things, a little more difficult. So we'll continue to keep an eye on things, but we see we're going into the third week, down for the day now, 1.78%, but nonetheless reaching a little bit of a higher high here and a green up candle continuing. Now we're going to switch out of the cryptocurrencies Then go to the commodities. I have a few for you to look at. The first is corn. Check this out. We had 4 weeks of corn popping up, and then last week we talked about this, really shaved off all of that profit, just took it off. And now continuing even further down. Is that not interesting? Copper, same thing. 3 weeks of up moves. Last week, it just blew that off. And this week, it's down for the day 0.73%. But again, very interesting to see that happen in copper. Remember, a lot of industry uses copper. And then here's an interesting one. This is, of course, the United States Natural Gas Fund, up for 3 weeks, and then pairing that off down almost 2% just for the day. We look at soybeans. I wanted to show you that. Soybeans bottomed out, turned around, and again, going up nicely. Now this week, not reaching the high that you reached 2 weeks ago, but again, very interesting to look at and watch. And of course, we keep up with gold every day. Gold down again today, and again, just continues to move down nicely. Nice to see things move cleanly in one direction or another, because remember, you can make money when your favorite stock or ETF or the markets in general are going up or down, as long as you can track which direction. Now, lastly, we'll go to currencies. I want to point out something on currencies that I find very interesting. Check this out. 3 weeks of up movement. This week, we see the euro down, breaking our trend line. You can see on the 2-day chart. Now, here's another interesting. British pound really slowing. It's not gone negative yet, but again, really slowing after those 3 weeks of up moves. And check out the Canadian dollar. You see the same thing happening. And of course, we were already negative in the Australian dollar. Look at the yen, just continuing, hammering down, and the Swiss franc, again, slowing down. So something's going on. We see commodities off for the most part, gold off, and we see all of these foreign currencies taking it in the shorts. So something is happening. Be aware. That's what's so wonderful about making sure you sort of step outside your bubble, and once a week, if not own your own, then do it with us. Review things like the crypto world to see just what's going on. Of course, after that, we look at commodities to see what's going on with real things like corn and copper and natural gas and soybeans and gasoline and gold and sugarcane and wheat and silver. So lastly, of course, we always take a look at, well, we've started doing this lately for you. We start taking a look at currencies. So put all those together, you get a better idea as to what's going on, not just here, but around the world. And something is pairing off a lot of that upward energy, paired off this week. So we'll keep an eye on things. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.